morning. Welcome to Breakfast at the Cone, or should I say, Breakfast in the Cone. I'm Debbie Link, Executive Director at Museum of Glass. I want to thank you for joining us today for our first virtual breakfast. And although we miss seeing all of you and hosting you in our grand hall, we're really grateful and honored to be with you online, live from the hot shop. You know, it was just a few weeks ago when we had to make the determination on what we were going to do with this event. And we decided, well, we can't do it in person, we'll go virtual. And I'm so grateful that we have the equipment here at MOG in our hot shop and the team that can make something like this happen. But this is new for us. This is our first virtual fundraiser. We're excited, we're a little bit nervous, but we appreciate you hanging in there with us and tuning in today. When we developed this event, our region was in the forefront of responding to COVID-19 and its huge impact on the community and industry. And that's really what this event has been based upon and what we're going to dive into this morning. I do, however, want to acknowledge the unrest in our communities, especially that of the last couple of weeks. I'm saddened by the tragic loss of life, and I want MOG to do more to provide an equitable and inclusive environment. We want to be part of the solution and the big picture. Like many others, we'll be sharing more about our actions in the coming weeks and months. Breakfast at the Cone was created 4 years ago to bring together business, civic, and arts leaders to really celebrate and discuss our shared commitment to the vitality of Tacoma and the Pacific Northwest. Like other organizations in the arts and hospitality industries, and many of you, Museum of Glass was hard hit by COVID-19. Closing the doors to our galleries, having to idle our furnaces here in the hot shop, closing our museum store and cafe. It was a very, very emotional experience for us, not to mention the fact that it took away over 50% of the income we rely upon to keep the museum viable. A few weeks ago, Arts Fund in Seattle surveyed arts, cultural, and scientific organizations, the nonprofits here in Puget Sound, and found that local organizations are projected to lose more than $130 million this fiscal year. Those numbers really illustrate, or that number really illustrates, the really powerful difference the arts have made. And why these numbers are staggering, the spirit of those of us that work here at MOG or volunteer at MOG, we remain positive. And then although our traditional programs have had to be stopped and events have been canceled, we're actually looking forward to changing some of the way we work and the things we do to look forward to a stronger future. For example, I think many of you are familiar with our Science of Art program, where we normally teach classes in schools and here at MOG. And what we're doing now is we're filming those classes, and that will give us great flexibility as the educational system determines what it's going to do in the fall. It'll also allow us to reach more into underserved neighborhoods and rural Washington cities and even beyond. And we're making great use of nearly 20 years of archived hot shop video footage, airing it online each week for great teaching moments. And I'm excited about some of our new programs, our new virtual programs, which will allow learners of all ages to become junior curators. And that program will allow the participants to interact with museum professionals with their projects and assignments. We plan to launch this within the next couple weeks, and I'm really excited about that. And last, about a year out in May of 2021, Museum of Glass, the entire museum district, and Travel Tacoma will host the Glass Arts Society Conference. This is an international gathering held each year somewhere in the world, and it's really an honor that they chose Tacoma for their 50th anniversary year. And it will draw a lot of visitors and allow us to showcase all that this region has to offer. With all these positive things going on, we are full of hope. MOG helped revitalize Tacoma nearly 20 years ago when we first opened, and with your help, we will do so again. In this moment, it is very clear that we're all in this together. And in honor of our topic today, the art of rebuilding together, we've made this a free event. And I'd like to thank especially our presenting sponsors for making that possible. They are MultiCare Healthcare Systems and Premera Blue Cross. Over the last 4 years, we have been very grateful for the support of board member and honorary chair Bill Robertson. Bill played a really important role in helping us launch Breakfast at the Cone, and certainly in the success that we've realized from it. His energy and commitment inspires us to grow in our service to the community. Bill, thank you for being here and for your involvement this year, and for the work you and MultiCare are doing to fight COVID-19.
Thank you, Debbie.
I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you all for joining us, tuning in today to be with us for this important event at the Museum of Glass. I would like to echo Debbie's remarks and personally thank Premera Blue Cross, who joined MultiCare as lead sponsor for this year's event. I want to extend my gratitude and that of the museum to all of the generous sponsors that made this event possible. I would also like to extend my gratitude and that of the museum to all of the generous sponsors, including the finisher sponsors, the burner sponsors, the media and apprentice level sponsors. It is great to see the support from so many of the region's top businesses. Thank you all. As 2019 drew to a close, at the year-end holidays were celebrated across the world, little did we know what lay ahead and the COVID-19 journey that we would soon be sharing with all of humanity. In December, there had been a few reports about pneumonia cases in China that infectious disease physicians were interested in, but not much more. How times have changed. As of last evening, 156 days since the start of 2020, globally there have been 6,632,000 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 391,000 COVID-related deaths. Confirmed cases in the U.S. are 1,872,000, with 108,000 of our fellow citizens dying from or with COVID-19. Our Puget Sound region was the first place in the U.S. with a diagnosed COVID-19 case, followed rapidly by a hotspot of cases in a long-term care facility in Kirkland, and the subsequent surge of patients into several hospitals in King and Snohomish counties. Because of this expanding pandemic, global supply chains were grinding to a halt, with the manufacturing and distribution of critical personal protective equipment rapidly slowing, even as the demand for PPE accelerated. And compounding the PPE challenges was the lack of any COVID-19 test. Communities across the U.S. responded in different ways to the pandemic with varying outcomes. We were fortunate that early in the pandemic, Washington residents significantly adopted new behaviors: better hand hygiene, physical distancing, minimizing large gatherings, which moderated the spread of the disease. Statewide, on March 23, we had our most cases diagnosed, 446. As of May 28, we only had 7 new diagnosed cases. Despite the lack of good information about the disease and the PPE and testing problems, Washington's healthcare system has responded well to the pandemic and provided great care to our patients and communities. It's been a huge team effort in a public-private way that supported this success, and the heroes are many. My heartfelt thanks to the clinicians, nurses, respiratory therapists, and other members of care teams, and all those who support the teams, like supply chain specialists, for their professional, courageous compassion, resilience, and commitment to providing the best of care to their patients and the community. And my thanks to the community that has banded together in support of caregivers and the work they do. Even though the COVID-19 disease is, at least for the moment, waning, larger challenges lay ahead for all of us, arriving from our societal response to the pandemic. Our economy has been badly damaged, with businesses closing and significant loss of jobs. People's lives have been upended, and negative impacts on social determinants of health are affecting health status with long-term consequences for both individuals and communities. And in this time of COVID, as we are faced with new and unexpected realities, we should and must grapple with our nation's history and current reality of racism, discrimination, and injustice, brought starkly into focus by the horrible killing in Minneapolis of George Floyd 11 days ago while being arrested, and in our own community with the death of Manuel Ellis on March 3 while being restrained on the ground by police. So, we live in extraordinary times in which we must find new ways to be community, new ways to create value for those we serve, new ways to operate viable and productive businesses and nonprofits, and new ways to create a more just and more equitable future for everyone. This is a daunting challenge, but one that we can and must address together. Each year, Breakfast at the Cone focuses on presenting a theme that is relevant to the vitality of our region's business community, and this year will be no exception. We are pleased to welcome keynote speaker John Oppenheimer, founder and CEO of Columbia Hospitality, who will share insight into how businesses and the hospitality industry can lean into their brand attributes and values to help rebuild for a stronger future in the face of COVID-19. Over the past 25 years, John has established 5 successful private hospitality-related businesses. He was a founding general partner of Seattle Hotel Group, the investment group that developed the Four Seasons Hotel in Residence Seattle. In 1995, he founded Columbia Hospitality to manage Bell Harbor International Conference Center for the Port of Seattle. In this role, he established the company's consulting division, which has completed more than 80 hospitality development projects throughout the United States and abroad. In addition to serving on the Virginia Mason Health System Board, John serves on the Fifth Avenue Theater Board of Directors and co-chairs the Fifth Avenue Governance and Nominating Committee. He serves on the Western Region Advisory Board of Northern Trust, as well as the Anthony's Restaurant Board of Directors. Thank you for being here today, John. We are all looking forward to learning about how brand attributes and core values can help businesses rebuild in the wake of these challenges.
Thank you, Bill, very much, and it's great to be, it's wonderful to be in the hot shot. It's a little lonely. We wish the room was packed with people, but nonetheless, to Bill and to Gail and to Debbie, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. Originally, and Bill, just before I get into my remarks, I want to honor and thank you and what you do in your industry with the healthcare workers. They're doing heavy, heavy lifting and are among our community's biggest heroes for the time we're in. So to everyone in the industry that you're in, Bill, thank you for all that the healthcare workers are doing. Originally, this talk was going to be focused on one of my favorite words, one of the words that I think has meant the success of our organization, and that word is yes. And it's still one of my favorite words, but I've modified the presentation today to focus on not only yes, but yes, hope, and optimism, because I have a lot of that. one of the great authors of our time, a Japanese author, talks about and has a quote: "When you come out of the storm, you won't be the same person who walked in." Haruko Murakami, who's a famous Japanese author, said that, and I completely agree. And man, are we in a storm in the hospitality industry, and like the arts community, are feeling the effects everywhere that we turn. The damage in the hospitality industry, the storm damage, is huge. We're 50 million global travel industry jobs will be lost due to COVID-19. 47% of the workers in the U.S. leisure and hospitality industry have been furloughed or laid off. The U.S. hotel occupancy rates are at a record low, worst they've been since the Great Depression, and the demand for future air travel has declined by 92%. So the industry is feeling a massive, massive impact, and it's not over yet. The U.S. Tourism industry is projected to lose at least $24 billion through 2020. COVID-19 will have a minimum of 9 times the impact that 9/11 had on the travel industry, and it isn't likely to recover until 2022. Challenges have been compounded in the last few weeks by the civil unrest, but changes will come as a result of that. So our industry has been impacted globally and nationally in a big way. Regionally, it's affected our company in a big way as well. But there's good news, and that's the optimism part. There are silver linings that we're looking forward to coming out of this. And those, and in our company and in our organization, it's the positivity that's the word that, positivity is the glue that holds us together. There are many, many silver linings. One of the silver linings that we're focused on is it's a chance in every way to reinforce and lead with our values. And our values are respect, sincerity, honesty, accountability, creativity, and enthusiasm. It's also a chance for us to further develop our OMG philosophy. And our OMG philosophy stands for own the values, make it fun, and get it done. We have, because of, there'll be lasting impact as a result of COVID-19. Some of the things that will result in, have been a result of this situation we're in has been in our organization is we formed Columbia Connect. Columbia Connect is a newsletter that we send out to our 2,700 people every single Wednesday to stay connected. Over 2,200 people in our organization have been affected by the situation we're in now, either through furloughs, layoffs, or pay reductions. We have formed in 4 days a thing called Columbia Hospitality Cares Foundation. The Columbia Hospitality Cares Foundation was established in an opportunity to help one another, and it's the greatest example of humanity. It was team members helping team members. So in just 4 days, we raised $157,000 by team members donating to this nonprofit organization we formed, and that was a chance for other team members to apply for relief, whether it be for groceries, rent, medical care, whatever it took. And what amazed me is not only did our team members that were still employed contribute, but people who had been furloughed also contributed. In addition, we were able to take our mass availability, unfortunately, of occupancy and help other organizations. And these are a few of the organizations that we jumped in and helped. Whether it be providing housing at our hotels, making sack lunches, or donating time and food products. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to see humanity at its absolutely best. And what we've tried to do is focus on what's possible and to learn learn from the past. And the past that we've turned to is the Great Depression, the closest thing to the situation that we're in right now. And a lot of great discoveries happened during the Great Depression. Some more important than others. One important in my family, the invention of Miracle Whip. During the Great Depression, mayonnaise became very, very expensive because of the price of oil, vinegar, and eggs. And so Miracle Whip was invented. And today, Miracle Whip is a $168 million annual business. Another invention, some would argue not so good, others would argue good, is the invention of the soap opera. Because Procter & Gamble had all this soap, but they didn't know how to advertise for it. And there were a lot of people staying at home. So, lo and behold, they invented the soap opera TV program. And soap operas are still here. Another example of an invention that's with us right now, a little less now, but is double features in movie theaters. Nobody during the Great Depression was going to movies. So they had to provide an opportunity for more value. And the double feature was created as a result of it. And one of my absolute favorites, the animated movie. The animated movie first was created as a result of the Great Depression because the Disney company said, we got to lighten it up. We've got to give people an opportunity to enjoy and to escape, a little like the arts community does. And the first animated movie was created during the Great Depression. So I still feel like there'll be all kinds of things that are created due to the crisis that we're in today. And another quote that I love is, what is the difference between an obstacle and an opportunity? Our attitude towards it. Every opportunity has a difficulty, and every difficulty has an opportunity. And that's the way I look at the situation we're in now. That's why I'm optimistic about the arts community. That's why I'm optimistic about MOG. So, back to one of my favorite words of all time, and that is yes. And why yes is more important than ever. It's because we've got to keep growing. We've got to keep looking for ways, and we can't retreat, just like the arts community cannot retreat. In our organization, we have had all kinds of things happen as a result of COVID-19 in the few short months that I'm very, very excited about and proud about. One of which is we've established 2 new businesses in the last 3 months. One is a call center business that we used to contract out. We had the time, unfortunately because we had no guests, we had the time to really evaluate, should we do this ourselves? So we're now employing people in-house to do our own call center instead of contracting it out. It's a whole new business. Another one is executive recruiting services. We recruit all the time in our business. We have 52 properties in 24 communities that we manage, so we're constantly recruiting. And just to sort of help out friends and family, we did recruiting the last several years for all of them. We've now established that as a separate business, and we're doing executive recruiting in the hospitality space. Neither of those would have ever been created except that we had the time to reflect and say, we're not going to retrench, we're going to go forward. In addition to that, just like during the Depression, now is the time when people are looking for opportunities to create more value and to create more value within their investment. So in the last 3 months, we have signed contracts for 4 new properties that we manage. 2 hotels, one in West Seattle and one in Peoria Heights, Illinois. And we have also, in addition, signed 2 new contracts for our residential management division, one in Seattle and one in Olympia, Washington. So that's why I've got hope and optimism. And that's why the arts community should have hope and optimism. Now, where do we stand in terms of temperature checking, not literally temperature checking, but where do we stand in terms of how we're doing as we start to come out of this? And it was a great unknown, just like it's a great unknown for the Museum of Glass. Are people going to come back? How are people going to feel about coming back? And our first test of that was around Mother's Day at a property we operate outside of, in Montana, about 45 minutes from Bozeman, called Sage Lodge. Mother's Day weekend, it opened up. Montana had different rules and regulations. Montana closed all hotels. When it opened up, the rule was you could stay in a hotel or you could visit a restaurant in a hotel, but you had to be from Montana. And we had to check if people were from Montana. We had no idea what would happen. Well, on Mother's Day weekend, we served 427 meals, more than we have ever served. They came in mass. So there is pent-up demand. There's pent-up demand, and there's excitement to get out. In addition, in Montana, when we opened up and we started to do a social media campaign about that people could come, it started on the Tuesday before Mother's Day, and we booked $37,000 of business that day and $47,000 the next day. And since that time, we've booked $1,200,000 of business in one hotel, more than we've ever done. Now, it is Sage Lodge in Montana, and wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you it's an awesome place, and it's a place everybody ought to come to. And you don't have to be from Montana anymore. Anyone can go from anywhere. The other example is Cannon Beach in Oregon, where we operate 4 properties. We opened that one on May 26th, relaunched it May 26th, and since then, by May 28th, we had booked $297,000 of business. So another example of they're going to come back. Sun Valley, Idaho, where we have the Nob Hill Inn. This is sort of intended to be a combination of giving you reason for optimism at the Museum of Glass, and a sales pitch of all these beautiful properties. Nob Hill Inn in Sun Valley, Idaho opened May 16th. No, it opened, May 22nd, and we started taking reservations May 16th, and we have booked 151 room reservations and have served 678 meals. Last is our golf courses. We operate multiple golf courses around the region, and golf, as you may know, was closed, so it's a little like art. Are people going to come back to the golf courses? And they have in a big, big way. We're at 23% over last year for the month of May, and we lost 5 days because we didn't open until May 5th. So I think people are going to come back stronger than ever. This is a chance to reflect, and it's the kind of thing Debbie was talking about that the Museum of Glass is doing. Suddenly, as a result of this, what the Museum of Glass has to offer, which I think is so positive, is you're offering it to, it sounds like, a lot more people. You're going to be a different kind of organization. So congratulations to the leadership, because I predict the Museum of Glass will come out stronger than ever. It's going to need help, just like the hospitality industry does, but with the creativeness and the escape that's created at the Museum of Glass and at other arts organizations, we're going to all come out of this, and we're going to be different, like I said at the beginning. Now, not to brag, but I've written a little book called Keys to the Room, and it is the number 9,763 bestseller on Amazon. 9,763. The only people that have bought it, I think, are primarily my family. But in that book, I talk about the rules to live by, and I give 15 things that we try to live by in our organization, and that I try to live by. And they're everything from follow your values every day. That's the litmus test for every decision we make. To don't get stale, and this is an opportunity to not get stale, the situation we're in. I'm not going to read every one of these, but pick up the phone more often than you email, and have a blast every day. Because the arts community contributes to so many people having a great creative escape, just like the hospitality industry. So while we've lost a massive amount of our business, and massive numbers of people have been affected, We'll come out of it. We'll come out of it as a society and a community that will come out of it stronger than ever. So I remain hopeful and optimistic, and it's places like the Museum of Glass and the Museum District here in Tacoma that make this a great place, make our region a great place, and our country a great place. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here, Bill, and thank you for all you and the other board members do to make our culture in our region better. And I'm glad to take questions.
Well, thank you, John. I appreciate the optimism and the worldview that leads us to know we have a future that we can have confidence in, even though it's going to be an interesting journey and we'll all be different. So we do have some questions that have come in, and I'd like to send them your way, John. There's a few that have come in. So the first question is, and it's a multi-part, so I'll just give you the 3 parts. How have your marketing strategies changed in light of the pandemic? Are you targeting different audiences now that travel is limited, and do you see that changing in the near future?
Thank you. Yes, our marketing strategies have changed. In the immediate term, we're focused on, and we're lucky, we're focused on people that want to drive to their destinations, which every survey shows people are interested in doing, and our results of the places that are open. So we're focused, instead of marketing across the country, we're focusing more in the neighborhoods of the properties that we manage. And so, yes, our marketing strategies have changed. And what was the second part of that question, Bill?
Well, you answered it by, you're targeting different audiences. It's more local.
Yeah, we're definitely targeting different audiences. But you know what audiences are most important right now? It's the team members that work at our company, because it's so important that they feel comfortable, that they feel safe. So our internal communication is our #1 focus right now, especially when people aren't coming to work every day. It's so important to communicate with them. And so I mentioned Columbia Connects. We also, each of our properties do a call every Friday for inviting people to a Zoom call. So our #1 market right now is our team. Because if the team members feel comfortable, if team members feel safe, that'll be contagious to the guests who visit us.
So the next question, this relates to the cost structures that we're seeing. So there's increasing costs associated with cleaning and all kinds of things. So do you see that impacting the price of hospitality services, given all of this new things we have to deal with?
It's back to supply and demand. I don't think prices are going to go up because there is so much supply right now. There's so much. It's so encouraging to hear Debbie talk about the major conference that has selected Tacoma next year. It's those kind of big conferences that drive the supply. So I don't think prices are going to go up. They're going to go down for hospitality venues. The other element is there are new costs, and there are all kinds of new cleanliness opportunities, and there's all kinds of focus on cleanliness. We have a program called Columbia Cleans. Every major company has announced a cleanliness program, and we've always been clean in our industry. It's always been clean, especially in hotels. But boy, have we ratcheted that up. And every major company, Hilton has a program called Clean Stay, Four Seasons has a program, Hyatt has a program called Global Care and Cleanliness, Holiday Inn and Kempton, which are one company, have a program called Clean Promise. So hotels are never, ever going to be as clean as they are today, and that's added some additional costs for sure.
So in that context, the last question is, with all of these new processes that are in place, touchless transactions, all those types of things, do you think, how do you think this will affect hotel ratings and guest satisfaction?
I think it's an opportunity. Ratings are so important, and it used to be the ratings were there were the 2 or 3 different rating agencies. Now it's every single one of us that go online and talk about our experience, and so it's every individual is a person that rates and evaluates a hotel. And the most important focus is going to be for them to feel safe and to feel clean, feel like that there's a sanitation program. And I'm biased because I'm in the industry, but boy, it's never been more safe. It will never be cleaner. It'll be never more sanitary than it is today. And that's why whether it be hotels or other venues, including arts organizations, have focused so much on it. And it starts with, as I mentioned, it starts with the team. If the team feels safe, they'll communicate that to the guests.
Okay, well, thank you for answering the questions this morning, and we'll wrap up the questions section at this point.
Thank you very much.
And now I'll turn this back over to Debbie Link, Executive Director of Museum of Glass.
Thanks, Bill, and thanks, John, for your insights. I love the power of yes. I love hearing about the silver linings in all of this, so we really appreciate you being here at a social distance and for this event in our hot shop today. It goes without saying that the last 2+ months have been a whirlwind of challenges, triumphs, transitions. From its inception, Museum of Glass has been an institution on the forefront of revitalization and growth and change, striving to improve and empower the community around us. We will continue to support artists. We will continue to provide rich educational programming. We will continue groundbreaking exhibitions.
In 2002, with a desire to celebrate the region's glass art and to build a vibrant creative center for the community, Museum of Glass was opened along the Theophos Waterway as a cornerstone for the revitalization of downtown Tacoma. A great city is the reflection of the courage and vision of its community leaders and the willingness of its residents to be open to change and risk-taking. Tacoma was and is such a city. For nearly 2 decades, Museum of Glass has been committed to bringing people together, empowering artists, expanding access to the arts, collaborating with local partners, and providing educational programming for all. The museum has a history of developing programs that shape and impact lives of both artists and the general public. From a live broadcast of glassmaking in the Hot Shop, to MOG's Visiting Artist Residency Program, to Hot Shop Heroes, and now with new virtual programming. And as a community gathering place, MOG has provided space for makers to come together, for events like Tacoma Night Market, and for families to experience art access on third Thursdays. Seeing our empty Grand Hall and Hot Shop reminds us at Museum of Glass about what really matters. It is you who bring life to the museum's galleries and Hot Shop. It is you who cheer us on as we blow glass. We miss you and cannot wait to see you back at MOG. While times may be challenging today, with your help, art will lead the way through innovation and imagination, and contribute to the revitalization of Tacoma again. MOG furnaces will ignite, and programs will rebuild and lift our communities. MOG will support artists who have been impacted by COVID-19 and families who need access to art and educational programs. Certainly this pandemic has changed us, but there is much hope on the horizon. With your support, Museum of Glass promises to emerge strong and willing to change and grow to serve our community.
Art leads the way. As we look towards this next phase of rebuilding, we're inspired by our partners in the community who have responded to the challenges resulting from COVID-19. Whether it be the hashtag Hope Grows Here campaign throughout the city, or watching businesses pivot to make masks, distilleries making hand sanitizer, there are several examples of businesses and individuals stepping up and helping one another. We are witnessing powerful examples of creativity and determination in the face of a crisis. The silver lining in all of this for MOG is that we too have been driven to look at what's possible in a changing world. A lot is possible. MOG is resourceful and achieves much with little. There's an opportunity now for the museum to emerge stronger, and we believe it will, to be the best version of itself yet. To rebuild and to accomplish this, we need your support. On your screen, you'll see a donate button. Please consider making a donation to the Museum of Glass today by clicking on that button on your screen. We appreciate your support that will help us continue our mission to ignite creativity, fuel discovery, and enrich lives through glass and glassmaking. Many thanks to John Oppenheimer for his presentation today. Thanks to Bill Robertson for being the honorary chair of our event. And thanks to all of you for your support. Thank you for joining us at Breakfast at the Cone. Have a great day.